The town of Berlin. Country charm at the center of Connecticut.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Time to call the meeting to order. I guess it's about 7:03, 3 minutes late. Sorry about that. If we could start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kate, roll call.
Councilor Campanelli? Here. Councilor Evans?
Here.
Mayor Krasinski?
Here.
Councilor Luddy?
Here.
Councilor Payanessa?
Here.
Councilor Rochette? Councilor Rosso?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, we're at the audience of citizens now. Oh, okay, they got to sign up.
They don't have to, but if they do, then...
Okay. We have a couple people here that have already signed up. So, Mary Catherine LaRose.
That's me.
Oh, how you doing tonight?
I'm good.
Welcome. Good.
Thank you. The reason I came to speak to the council today is my concerns over what is going on with Kensington Garden Center. I've lived in town for 40 years. When I did the math, I realized I bought my house in January of 76, which gives me 40 years in town. Never moved. And
Good for you.
that place has changed hands numerous times. And as far back as I can recall, certainly not 40 years, but I can recall a significant amount of time, there's always been a gift shop. And I've used that gift shop. I've gone and bought friends' birthday gifts there. I've bought trinkets for people. I've bought things for myself. I've bought Christmas decorations. I've bought, sometimes I wait till the day or two after Christmas and get things that were in their beautiful gift shop half price. I love the owners now because during the growing season, the owner, and I'm sorry I don't know his name, but I can go there with any problem regarding plants, and he's very knowledgeable. But I understand too that he's got a business that has to last the whole year long, and the growing season in Connecticut is short. So I just don't understand why the zoning commission or the zoning department is causing a problem with the gift shop, which I know has existed for many years. I know one of the owners, I walked in one time, they were selling pies. I wasn't interested in a pie, but there were pies. I know that there have been times when they sold fine chocolates, that they sold jewelry, that they sold numerous soaps, candles. I have a candle in my cabinet that I haven't finished burning in 10 years, but it's great. So I just don't understand what the problem is, and I'm really hoping that the zoning department will work with that owner, because it would be a shame to have that building be empty again, as it was before he took it over. It was empty for some time. And I really think the town needs to find a way to work with people and not against them. I don't know how accurate the Berlin Citizen was in the reporting that they did in last week's paper, but I just cannot understand why a business owner would have to sign a document to say specifically what items they can sell in their gift shop. I mean, unless it's against another statute or something X-rated or something, I believe that business owner really should have the ability to decide for themselves what they can sell in their gift shop. So, again, that's the reason that I came tonight, and I hope perhaps as council members you can, discuss this with your zoning people and maybe come to some answer or conclusion that will make that help that person stay in business, because I know it cannot be easy to run a seasonal business like that. So, thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Next on the list, Lori Budney. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Oh yeah, you actually just the address 242 Weathersfield Road, Berlin. I'll state it for you. We just have to
Yes.
put that on the record. I'm sorry.
26 Woodruff Lane.
That's all right. Thanks. Thanks.
Hi, I've been in town all my life, and I'm not going to tell you how many years that's been, but my birthday was yesterday.
Well, happy birthday.
And I've also been in business for the last at least 30 years in town. I think it's very important in these difficult economic times. I'm speaking on the same issue, and I just read about it in the Berlin Citizen, and then I spoke with Mary Catherine today, and she said she was coming here, and I said, that bothered me also, that a small business, and everybody is struggling with, increasing electricity and taxes and insurance and everything. We have to help our businesses, and we have to work together, and I know that it's, if you drive down the Berlin Turnpike, you'll see vacant building after vacant building, and the whole thing is to keep these businesses, there and paying taxes, and so we have to support one another. And when I first grew up here, you couldn't buy a plant at Home Depot or Lowe's. You had to go to the little garden centers, and then and I go to Sharon Elizabeth. It's a florist shop specifically, but I buy jewelry there. You can buy scarves and everything. So you have to do what you have to do in this economic times, and so I want to do whatever we can do to help a business. I think is very important. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Lori. Anybody else from the audience? No? Okay, hearing none, I will end the audience of citizens, and I just, for the benefit of, everyone here, just, obviously it was on the front page of the Citizen, so a lot of people are aware of it, but I don't think everyone's aware of all the facts, and I'm sure, I don't want to, really get into all that now, because I probably will not say the right thing, but I have quite a few years on planning and zoning, and we do have to realize that business, no matter how long it's been there, is in a residential zone. It's not in a commercial zone. That makes a huge difference under zoning regulations. That and all of you that we all live in residential zones, most of us. We have to be very careful about what is allowed in a residential zone. The business was grandfathered into that zone, but through the years it was open, it was closed, and ultimately it was reopened a few years ago. And then there was also some litigation regarding that particular business and what could be sold there. And there was went to court. Judge agreed with the town as far as our interpretation of certain things, and again, a lot of details that would be better left for planning and zoning to handle. So anyway, to bring us up to this point, also recognizing that the town did not take unilateral action on that business. We received a complaint from another business owner in town, which basically forced our hand to go look at it. That was not the town's intention to do that, but we have to take, obviously, complaints seriously too. I mean, we can't, one person doesn't have more rights than the other. So we did that, and we're going to work with the, kind of got involved in it. We're going to work with the owners. We had a good meeting with the owners, and Helen Riggins and Denise and myself, and we're going to send it back to planning and zoning. That's probably the place it needs to go, and there'll be I think there's a hearing set up on February 11th. So anyone who's interested in this could go listen to Bruce Moore probably say it more eloquently than I will. He'll talk about it. I don't know if it's a public hearing. We'll have to see what they do with it. And we're going to work with them. We'll see what we can do. Obviously within the context of our zoning regulations. And again, it being in a residential zone, we have to be very, very careful, because if we open a residential zone there, well, the next time it might be on your street that somebody decides they want to have a business next to your home. And what we do there, if we don't do the same a year from now in some other neighborhood, residential neighborhood, and allow a business, I think we open up all our zones to some issues. So we just have to proceed very cautiously. It's certainly nothing against the business. We obviously want the business. We're going to try and help them, and again, it began with a complaint to the town, which we had to take action for. Just keep that in mind, that the Citizen did a pretty good article. All the facts were not in that article either, but again, it might have been written a little bit before we had our meeting. So we're working on it, and we'll do the best we can for the Ellison. So that's kind of where it stands now, in the hands of planning and zoning, and we'll see what happens with that. Yeah, just so we kind of get the right facts on the record. So I appreciate you guys coming, and I always I'd rather have members of the public come here and speak, and so we can get the right information out there. You know, that's very important, because things sometimes get spun up in the wrong direction, and it's very hard to bring it back to, you know, what the actual facts are. So we're working on it. All right, so next we have our consent agenda. Denise, you want to brief it all, or
I don't
not?
know if there's any ones.
If there's any questions, you guys have any issues on the consent agenda?
Okay.
We good?
I'll offer a motion to accept the 4 items in the consent agenda as written.
Thank you. Can we have a second on that?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. All right. Now we are going to move into our public hearing. So, Denise, maybe you want to just mention the purpose of the public hearing?
Yeah, the purpose is there's a request to approve an ordinance appropriating $700,000 for the purchase of fire vehicles, and also the council needs to authorize the issue of $700,000 in bonds of the town to meet the appropriation.
Great. Kate, legal notice?
Yeah, now you're going to,
What are we doing now?
there's a format here, and you can follow that, and hit this. I need longer arms.
What's that?
I need longer arms.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, I'm going to read this here, right? Meeting of the Town Council of the Town of Berlin was held in the Town Council chambers on February 2nd, Groundhog Day, 2016. I guess he didn't see his shadow today, so winter's over. Sure feels like it today, right?
Yep.
At 7:15 p.m. Members present. Should we call them out, or just?
Nope, it's okay, I'll
So,
make note of it.
so we have, all right, so, the public hearing was convened on the following proposed ordinance, which is the subject of this public hearing, is available to the public and may be obtained at this meeting from the town clerk. Town clerk moved, so we're gonna move to
No.
open the public hearing. Brendan, or someone.
Okay.
And
Go ahead, Kate. You have a question?
Yep.
Nope, it's,
But-
here.
I didn't print that part of it, so.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have this part before, I'm
That's all right.
sorry.
Here you go, excuse me. It's extra paper.
We left
Sorry.
my iPad
You're gonna
at
start
home.
where I start.
Okay.
You're gonna move.
Yeah.
Okay, I move to place the ordinance appropriating $700,000 for the purchase of fire vehicles and authorizing the issue of $700,000 of bonds of the town to meet said appropriation, pending the issuance thereof, making of temporary borrowings for such purpose.
Okay, is there a second on that?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, the motion carries, so we
Thank you.
will open the public hearing, correct? All right.
Be perfect. So if anybody wants to speak, they can come up.
Yes. So, since this is now a public hearing, and this is for the bond, and this is gonna be for the purchase of some fire vehicles. If anyone wants to speak, summarize anything from the fire service, anybody wants to come up and give us maybe a 2-minute rendition would be good, just so for members of the audience. Jim, thank you, that rather than us try and get through it. I'd rather you say a couple of words. I appreciate you being here. I know you've said a lot on it already. Sorry to ask you again, but this is the public hearing, so we appreciate it. Okay.
So we're looking for $700,000 tonight in additional funding. There's over $900,000 that's already been appropriated through previous acquisitions or amendments. That'll give us $1.6 million, and that will be the first phase of a long-term process of purchasing fire apparatus. The fire department had a apparatus committee that's been meeting for quite some time, and what we did was we looked at all the apparatus in town, we looked at the demographics in town, we looked at buildings and where we're going from here, and we came up with a long-range plan as to the replacement of the apparatus. Now bear in mind that 4 pieces of this apparatus were purchased in 2002, when right after 9/11, and everybody felt pretty good and they needed to support the fire service and emergency services. Going down the road to when this completes, which is 2023, that apparatus all needs to be replaced because it'll be 20+ years old. So the apparatus committee sat down and they looked at that long-term plan and they developed a plan to replace that apparatus, and we're actually will be disposing of 7 pieces of apparatus by the time this is over in 2023, with 6 pieces of apparatus, downsizing the fleet by 1 piece of apparatus, which that 1 piece of apparatus is probably about a $600,000 savings to the town by downsizing. So this is the first segment of that. The first segment of that will be replacing a pumper from Kensington and a ladder truck from Berlin. The pumper from Kensington was what's called a glider kit. A glider kit is when you don't have enough funding and you kind of rebuild something. They take the engine, the pump, and the rear end out of another truck and they put it into a chassis of a new truck, and then they allow the piece to go out. That was done in 1993. We utilized an engine, a pump, and a rear end, or rear differential, out of a 1975 Mack. A 1975 Mack. The engine in that truck is 40 years old. The truck was scheduled to be replaced in 2013 and was pushed back because of the economy. The second piece being replaced was purchased in 1994. It's a 100-foot ladder aerial piece that's located in Berlin, and that is over 20 years old. In recent months, in recent years, we've rebuilt the engine. It's had 2 transmission in there. It's had the walking beams done in the back. It's had a steering box recently, kingpins recently. The truck is tired. So that piece was supposed to be at 20 years old. Now that is passed by 2 years, so that's 22 years old. The first piece, what I didn't mention, and I know that you're going to ask me that question, in 2013 it was coming back from a call and had an electrical short and had a major electrical fire in it. That luckily for us, we have good insurance. The insurance company paid over $20,000 to rewire that truck. These 2 pieces are very old pieces. They are frontline pieces. In our plan, we're going to be downgrading some and replacing and moving some apparatus up so that the pumper that is actually being replaced will be frontline along with the ladder. Now, if we look back, let's look back in the last 6 weeks. In the last 6 weeks, the town of Berlin has suffered 4 major fires. 4 major fires. Fire gutted a house on Cliffview Drive. We had a major fire at Prentice Place. We had a major fire on Savage Hill. We had a major fire this past weekend on Wildham Road. Just with those 4 houses or 4 building fires, we're probably looking somewhere in the excess of $2 million in fire damages in the town. These pieces would be first pieces out to those buildings. These pieces, the ladder truck was first piece out to those buildings. They're needed pieces. They're required to do our job. So we approached the town. We had a presentation on January 12th at the library, in which we laid out our complete plan. This is nothing that's been secretive. It's been within our budget for a number of years. Each time we did the budget presentation, whether it was a capital presentation or a budget presentation, we can emphasize that these items were coming up. So I think that's basically it in a nutshell.
That's good. If you would, just because it is obviously a very large expenditure that we're looking at, but we obviously did have that other public meeting with you and the council, but a lot of members of the public that may be here tonight weren't there. Just kind of the due diligence you did, because obviously this process, we're not going out to bid on it, but you know, and you know, obviously members of the council may have some further questions for you, but just for the benefit of everyone, just
Sure.
a little bit, not you don't have to go through the whole story, but just the high points of what you have done, which is you know, pretty much pretty close to an RFP going out to bid anyway, but you did a lot of work on it, so I just want to make sure that we get that on the record of.
Okay, so what we did was, we did this in a couple different segments. But the first segment was we looked at what we currently have for apparatus and where we're going forward. That segment done, we identified the apparatus that needs to be replaced. With that being said, we then looked at, our next step is to pick a vendor, somebody to work with to develop specifications. The specifications on the pumper truck is, I can't guarantee it, but somewhere around 100 pages. The specifications on the ladder truck is 147 pages. So the process of picking that vendor comes out to, we listed the vendors, and then we looked at the vendors and we removed vendors for different reasons. Some of our criteria that we used was a big one, sole source provider. A sole source provider means that the one vendor is responsible for that truck, bumper to bumper, wheel to the top, all components within that truck for the design, the development, the warranty work, and the repair. Why is that important? Well, that's important because we have seen in the past with some of the other pieces of equipment that we purchase in the town of Berlin, where we end up in a fight with the vendor or that sold us that, because XYZ is the truck, but ABC is the body on that truck. And they don't want to work together, or they want you to work separately. This way we go back to one provider for that. It makes life a lot easier for the future. It makes one person responsible for that piece of equipment, remembering that these pieces of equipment are very, very expensive. Another thing that we look at is ISO certification. Is the manufacturer in ISO 9001 certified? That manufacturing process, we all know, is the highest that is regulated out there, or highest that is certified out there. Do they meet that? We looked at whether they had a facility within the state of Connecticut, and if they didn't, what the distances were to the facility to bring the vehicle back for warranty and repair. We would like, and we preferred, that they had a facility within the state of Connecticut. A lot of times, being in the automotive business, I see trucks go out of the state of Connecticut on flatbeds to other states to be repaired, because that facility or that vendor doesn't have a repair facility within the state of Connecticut. So that's another high-level item on us. And we looked at each one of these, and there's plenty more. My paperwork's back there, but there's plenty more that we looked at. And we ruled out, and we ruled out, and we ruled out. And then we came down to the vendor that we selected. So once we selected that vendor, now we kind of listed what we need to put on the truck. What does the town of Berlin, what's the Berlin Fire Department, the town of Berlin Fire Departments need on these trucks? Do we want a front pump? Do we want a mid pump? Do we want a back pump? Do we want 500 gallons of water, 1,000 gallons? We listed all that stuff out. We provided to the vendor that we selected. He came back with a basic specification. We then spent probably close to a year refining that specification and going back and asking questions. Well, what about this? Can we change this? Can we move this? Can we add that to make the truck more suitable for the town of Berlin? And then we came up with the final package. The final package was presented on 1/12/2016 to the council. We obtained pricing. When we obtained pricing, we learned that there was going to be a price increase. The price increase is as February 1. I was able to get pricing held as long as it is approved within a short time. And actually, I need to tell the vendor tomorrow or the next day whether it's approved. That price increase for those two trucks, a combined price increase of $40,000. So that's why we're trying, I don't want to say we're trying to work within the town to make the best piece of apparatus at the best cost for not only the town, but the fire service and the citizens. How's that?
Great. Good job. While you're there, if before we take some other public comments, if just so you don't have to come back up, if town council here has any questions of Jim while he's up here.
Talking during the agenda item. This is a public hearing right now.
Huh?
This is a public hearing right now.
Oh, all right. So
Questions would be during the agenda.
Oh, all right. Okay. So, thank you.
Okay.
And any members of the public have any comments about this, that they're welcome to come up? No? Okay, great. Any comments? There still can be any comments from the council members.
No, I'm good.
Everybody good right now in the public hearing? Okay. And again, you have to pardon me because after all my time on planning and zoning, this is a little bit different for me because what we do on planning and zoning is the comments from the council and most of the evidence we take in is in the public hearing. So, and if it's not brought in the public hearing, we can't consider it. So, I'm still learning, but that's fine. We'll get there soon. Fairly quick learn. Anyway, so hearing no other comments, I'm going to close the public hearing this time at 7:30. So the hearing is adjourned at this point. Okay, thank you very much. We're out of public hearing, and we will we'll be discussing this topic in a few minutes. So we're going to go on to new business. Topic 1, Denise, you want to just give us a...
The state of Connecticut has invited the town to apply for a Responsible Growth and Transit-Oriented Development Grant, a TOD grant. The applications are due this week, and this is a new grant for which we've not applied in the past. The Economic Development Commission has recommended that we apply for the grant, and they would be recommending that the money be used for the facade program. The facade program has been very successful recently. We've had 16 projects so far, 11 of which have been completed. This would provide an additional up to $500,000 for additional businesses to take advantage of. Chris Edge, our Economic Development Director, is here to address any questions.
Great.
I will make a motion to authorize the town manager to apply for a 2016 Responsible Growth and Transit-Oriented Development Grant in the amount of $500,000 for the continuation and expansion of the facade program.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Topic 2, Denise.
Each year, the Parks and Recreation Commission, along with John Zuck, the Director of Golf, get together for an annual review of the rates for golf at Timberland Golf Course. And this year, they have developed the 2016 season golf rate schedule. John is here to discuss some of the changes, and it needs approval for the upcoming golf season, which hopefully will be sooner than later.
Let's hope. Again, Denise mentioned that at the Park and Rec meeting on January 14th, the commission met to discuss the rates and some of the key changes that we're looking at for this upcoming golf season. And they're listed again in the agenda item, so, and I'll go through those quickly. Timberland Golf Passes, we're renaming the Golf Pass. It's no longer going to be a season pass. We're going to have a cutoff date of November 30th. So it's going to, the pass will begin the opening day of the golf season and then will end on November 30th. Excuse me, on weekdays, previously we were allowing 9-hole reservations on both sides of the golf course. We're going to limit that to one side of the golf course to allow the other side to be opened up for 18-hole play for a new special that we're going to attempt to run from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. an 18-hole special for $30 for 18 holes in a cart. What we've had in the past, we've had a lot of 9-hole play on both sides, and we're trying to generate more 18-hole play, and this is one of the ways we're going to attempt to do that. And again, that's the new early morning special. Golf carts, we had a golf cart card before. When you purchase a cart and you purchase 10, you get 10 carts for the cost of, you get 10 rides you get 12 rides for the cost of 10, And what we're doing is we're limiting that to 11 rides for the cost of 10, and that's a 10% discount. And we're eliminating one category with the birthday club, and rain checks also will no longer be given for the CIP fee. And also included in the agenda item, we have the proposed golf rates, the specials, and comparative golf rates from other golf courses.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion.
Yep. I will make a motion to approve the Timberland golf course rates for the 2016 golf season.
Second?
Got some questions
For
first.
a second? Well, for discussion.
Second for discussion.
Right. Okay, now, so before we move the motion, discussion, anything from the council members?
Yeah. I have a question, Mr. Zook. With those changes from last year's budget to this year's budget, did you anticipate any revenue growth?
Yes, from those changes, we're looking at anywhere from going off of the 2015 play statistics. We're looking at about a $15,000 to an $18,000 increase off of the 2015 play stats. So
Thank you.
yes, a revenue growth, yes.
Okay. I have a question for you, Mr. Zuck. Last year, I remember, and the reason why I'm going to ask you this question, because I have a friend of mine that belongs to another golf course, and they had GPS carts, and they've since got rid of them because they drain the batteries. And I remember that we approved something last year to try and save us money, and I've played there this year. I haven't seen those out there yet.
What ended up happening with the company that was running the GPS golf carts? The company unfortunately went out of business, and what they were going to do was going to be free of charge, and they were going to be running ads. And actually, Toshima Knowles down in Trumbull, Connecticut, had the system put in, and it's becoming a huge nightmare actually because there's nobody to support the GPS system. So actually, we're kind of lucky because we had gas carts and they had a little trouble with a conversion from gas to the electricity to run the GPS system itself. So
Yeah, I heard it was a problem. That's why I asked.
yeah, it was the problem, and then actually, unfortunately, the company went out of business, or fortunately for us, I guess.
Okay, thanks. Any other comments from councilors? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Zuck. Number 3, Denise, topic number 3.
Yes, this goes in line with the golf fees, but every year the Revenue Committee, consisting of Jim Wren, the Finance Director's Chair, Jim Capides, Gail Erickson, Debbie Dennis, Helen Riggins, and John Zuck, all of whom are present this evening, convened to review the fees charged by all the different town departments beginning this coming July, with the exception of the golf fees, which you just acted upon. Jim is here to discuss the changes. The only thing that we are not sure of at this point are the health district's fees, but council is really not able to affect any changes on those because they come from the district itself, but they're not included in this fee schedule yet because they haven't been set.
Okay, thank you, Denise. I'm here to just kind of summarize for you some of the major changes. The individual department heads are here if you have any specific questions on any specific fees, but I am the chair of the Revenue Committee, which is why I normally present this item. I did summarize for you on one of the handouts the changes that were highlighted on the fee schedule that was passed out. Just to mention for the public, once the fee schedule is approved by the council, it is posted to the town website, so it will be available if it's approved tomorrow for anyone to review. The reason why we always come to the council in February is that the golf season could start as early as March. So even though these are 16, 17 fees, that's why we're here for approval at this time. So just a summary of the major items that changed. We did take a fee that was already in place in the Recreation Department for refunds. So anytime a refund is processed, we're going to now have a fee of 10% of the original fee with a minimum fee of $5 and a maximum fee of $25. And that's basically to cover administrative costs associated with making a refund. Now, this will not apply if a program is canceled. Obviously, the full fee would be refunded for that. If the town made an error and charged the wrong fee, obviously we would refund the full amount. And also for tax refunds, we always refund the full amount. So that will not apply in those cases. Again, this was already in place in recreation, but we felt that due to the administrative costs associated with refunds in other departments that we should make it applicable to the whole town. So it now appears in the schedule under the townwide section. In the building department, there was a fee of $25 added for third inspections, again, to cover administrative costs. And then there was also a correction of an error. The state charges a fee or asks the towns, or not asks, requires the towns to include a fee to cover training costs of public building officials. In the old fee schedule, the town gets to keep 1 penny of this, and the state keeps 24 cents of this 25-cent fee. In the old schedule, the fee was actually stated, the $30 fee that's charged actually already includes the 25 cents. And the old fee schedule said it was $30.25. So we just corrected that error. We've been charging the correct fee. The fee schedule was just stated incorrectly. On engineering, there was a change to the permit fees for excavation. That was actually a reduction in the fee by $25. And a new $10 fee was added for burning permits, which in the past used to be free. And again, that's to cover the town's costs associated with issuing those. Park and Rec Department changed several fees: basketball, summer program, junior counselors, pool passes, and lifeguard training course. And Jim Capitis and Debbie Dennis are both here if you have any questions on those. The senior center is increasing their fee for non-resident membership only. This fee has not been changed for at least 10 years. And then planning and zoning had a couple of changes for subdivision regulations, site plan amendments, and zoning regulations. In the revenue collection department and finance, we are adding a fee for when a check is returned for non-sufficient funds. We send out a certified letter, so we're going to include a charge at cost to cover the cost of the certified mail, so the town is not out that money. And then water control finally added a $100 fee for permits for secondary meters and a $125 fee for inspection of water taps. And I know Jack is here if you have any questions on those.
Okay, thanks, Jim. We have a motion.
Sure. I make a motion to adopt the 2016-2017 fee schedule as proposed by the Revenue Committee and to allow amendment of the 2016-2017 fee schedule to
Okay.
include the updated regional health district fees when they are made available.
Thank you. We have a second for discussion.
Second.
Any discussion on this?
Quick question, Jim, did you see anything in the new Connecticut tax panel committee report that may affect some of our fees and rates coming up for this year?
It's not at that point yet. There have been some recommendations made to change a lot of things, but it's still at the point where that's not been enacted by the legislature. So no, I would say at this point we don't have to change anything.
Go ahead, Dave.
Hey, Mr. Wren, again, similar question, Mr. Zook. This one may be a little more difficult to quantify,
Yes.
but do you have any estimate at this time, revenue projection in the sense of anticipated increase or staying about the same?
It's difficult to give you an exact number on that because obviously with something like recreation, an increase in fee could change the demand either way. I will tell you that in preliminary revenue budget for 2017, the building department did go up on their fees. The town clerk did go up on their fees, even though there are no changes there. Public Works, I believe, went up a little bit on their fees, so there was some positive changes, but really nothing material.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? No? All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. I guess don't go anywhere, right?
I'm not planning
All
on
right, I
it.
didn't think so. I didn't think so. Next, number 4, the dashboard. Or do you want, yeah, whatever you have.
This is an item that has been requested to be on the agenda as the budget process begins this year. It was felt that it would be a good idea to at least begin to discuss the process that takes place to create the municipal budget each year as required both by the charter as well as just to gain the revenue through our tax dollars or however we collect to keep the town running. Jim has prepared the agenda item. I'm going to let him speak to it. By charter, my budget is due to the council by March 1st of each year, but the process really begins back in August or September of each year, if not sooner, with the requests and the development by the department heads for their capital items that they are requesting. And I'm going to let Jim speak to the process after that. There's really no time of the year that the budget isn't part of what we do every day, because that's how we pay bills and provide services. So I'll just let Jim.
Okay, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about the process that has happened so far, where we are right now, and then I'll explain a little bit about what this new tool called the dashboard is intended for. At this point in the process, as the town manager just explained, the capital improvement plan is the first part of the budgetary process that begins in the August timeframe, believe it or not. We have completed that process a while ago, so we do have the CIP committee, Capital Improvement Plan Committee, has produced a recommended budget. The town manager made changes to that budget. That will now be incorporated into the operational budgets. We have also, at this point, of course, all the department managers have submitted their initial requests, which is the first column in our budget is departmental requests. Those were reviewed throughout the month of December by myself, the town manager, and the budget chair of the town council, Councilor Evans, with the department heads to hear everybody's requests, to ask questions. Now, as the town manager also explained, the budget is back in her court to make her revisions and reductions or additions as is seen fit, and that is due by charter on March 1st. In the council item that was prepared tonight, I did include some of the figures that are at this point at a point where I can disclose them. The debt service has been disclosed here because there's certain debt service that the money's already borrowed, we have to make the payment. So those things we have no choice of in the budget, and those are listed in here. I'll repeat those because I think it's important for the public to hear it. The town's debt payments, principal payments, are actually decreasing by about $300,000 from last year because some of the town's debt has matured, has been paid off, so there's actually a reduction in that line item. The interest payment on town debt is increasing about $2,000 only. But on the school side, there is an increase of $750,000 on the principal and $403,000 on the interest. The majority of that, of course, relates to the ongoing issuance of debt for the high school. We have $34.5 million debt issued for the high school to date. We will probably have one more issuance of about $10 million or a little less, and then we will be done with the debt on the high school. So that's basically where we are now. Those are some of the things I can share at this point. Working with Councilor Evans and the town manager and the mayor, we've developed this budget dashboard document, which is also attached to the council item in format only. In talking with Councilor Evans and the mayor, we decided at this point it's too premature to disclose any numbers in that, but we wanted the public to at least see the format of what this is going to look like. Basically, it's going to show the original budget and then any amendments and adjustments that take place throughout the process, and those will be detailed and enumerated at the bottom of the schedule. This will be used for a couple reasons. One would be as a tool for the council as they go through the budget process to plug things in. If we buy this equipment now, if we defer this equipment, if we lease this equipment, as one example. And the other tool will be for communication to the public throughout the budgetary process instead of waiting until the public hearing. So as the town manager is working on her adjustments now, that will be a significant change to the initial numbers, which is why we did not disclose numbers tonight. But throughout the process, I will be doing continuous updates at the council meetings until the budget is finalized in May.
All right, thank you, Jim. Do we have a motion on this?
Sure. I would like to make a motion for discussion concerning the use of the dashboard for the budget process.
We have a second for discussion?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on this?
Do we need to, there was a second, do we need to say all in favor? I think we just need to have a discussion, Mayor, so I'm not sure there's any need for a motion to discuss, so we could just proceed with discussion, Mayor?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Usually, I think, but whatever, let's discuss that later.
Yeah, I just want to keep it moving forward there, Mayor, that's all.
Go.
So I first want to express my appreciation to Mr. Wren, especially in his approach to saying, hey, how can we make this easier for the council members to work with? I think those that have been on council or have been talking with us previously, we come to find we get near the end and we're like, where are the numbers at? So just as any one of us are driving along, we like to not have a visit with the police chief or any of his great personnel. We try to maintain a particular limit, and in this case a dashboard would be appropriate for us as we drive along and try to establish something that would be equitable for all the members of the community, that would also support our needs, whether it's taking care of our roads or any other things that may be important to all of us. And so, and I'll just, for other council members, this is where you can play with it. Those that like to work with the spreadsheet, you can plug in numbers to all your heart's content to say, hey, what will the impact of this $10,000 be, or what will this impact of $1 million be as we go along in this process. And there will be a little bit of order change in who we visit with and the timing and so forth with our budget hearings. So I think this will be helpful for us in communicating how different organizations are helping us get to a point where we can feel comfortable to come to the community and say, we've taken a hard look at what we need to do for our budget to take care of our town needs, our school needs, and the taxpayers' needs. So, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. So again, as we go forward, we'll have some numbers on this for the benefit of the council and the benefit of the public as well. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, number 5 is, well, go ahead, Denise.
This is a request by the Fire Administrator, Jim Simons, to waive the Town of Berlin's bid requirements for the purchase of the 2 fire apparatus, as he discussed earlier, from Pierce Manufacturing out of Appleton, Wisconsin. As he indicated, this had been the subject of a special town meeting on January 12th of this year at the library, and what was explained was the process that the committee that was put together through the various fire departments through the last year or so, if not a little longer, meeting on a regular basis to determine first the needs of the community in terms of the fire apparatus, and then what kind of apparatus could be designed or purchased to meet the needs for the next 10 to 20 years or so. He is looking to have the council's authorization to proceed with Pierce Manufacturing of Appleton, Wisconsin, with the total purchase price of $1,610,410, funding through a bond ordinance, as this is in the best interests of the town to waive the bidding requirements.
Okay, thank you, Denise. So we need a motion to discuss
I will
this.
make a motion to waive the Town of Berlin bidding requirements and award the purchase of 2 fire apparatus, engine number 2 and truck number 9, from Pierce Manufacturing for the amount not to exceed $1,610,410, contingent upon the approval of the related bond ordinance.
Okay. Second for discussion?
Second.
Okay, so discussion on this issue.
Just something quick for you, Jim. A couple years ago, somebody sent me a pretty humorous letter that said how the government can screw up the gas can. And I know some of us always experience that. You go to use it and you probably spill more now than you did in the past. So when I first got on the council, you mentioned some of the things that may be mandated that you have to do. You talked about being part of OSHA or con-OSHA that would force us to replace the fire trucks anyways every 20 years. And you said you didn't really believe in that because the trucks can last longer than that. So I was wondering if you had any input on that, or where the status of that stands right now.
It is an NFPA requirement, not an OSHA requirement. It's an NFPA national standard that the fire truck should be replaced or downgraded after 15 years and then replaced after 20 years as frontline pieces of equipment. These trucks, and these trucks that we're talking about now, are well over their 20-year period, and they are still for frontline pieces.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
You keep them in very good condition.
But it is time to begin to think about replacing them. It is time to begin replacing them. The safety standards on these trucks are not what new trucks have. They don't have rollover protection. They don't have vehicle stability, anti-lock brakes, airbags, pre-tensioners in the seat belts, many of those standards. Looking forward to other standards that are within there, equipment mounted or equipment kept more in the compartments instead of the cabs for flying objects in case of injury, and the list goes on. If you look at your car, and most people don't drive a 20-year-old car, but think about the car you drove 20 years ago versus the car you drive now. Completely different animals. The same thing with fire apparatus, completely different animals. So now as these vehicles get older, the repair requirements continue to go up. And we're seeing the repair requirements going up both. We're really seeing the repair requirements go up on a few pieces, and one of them is that truck. But did it respond on Friday night? Did it do its job on Friday night? Yes, it did. Is it ready to be replaced? Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. And one of the things you did do in this program is that in the long run, we're going to be left with one less truck because you're going to buy different useful equipment rather than some of the things we have, right?
Right. So over this schedule goes out to 2023. In 2019, the next proposal to replace 2019-2020 is to replace. We're going to be replacing 3 pieces of equipment, but we're only replacing them with 2 pieces of equipment, downsizing the fleet by 1 vehicle, which, as again I said, it's going to be a savings to the town of somewhere around $600,000. How are we doing that? We're combining 2 pieces of apparatus into 1, so that piece of apparatus will do both jobs efficiently.
Okay.
We did that, or we looked at that with other pieces of apparatus. The ladder truck you're purchasing now has a pump and a water tank on it, so that it can be the first piece out, and it can not only work as a ladder but a pumper. But that was done in 1993, 94, when we purchased that truck.
Okay.
And we're just continuing on that. So we're enhancing those pieces of equipment for the town.
Good, thank you.
Yes. Go ahead, Chris.
You had indicated at the last meeting, and I know some of the people weren't here at the last one, so that's why I'm going to ask again, but I know you're not planning to scrap the fire trucks that you currently have. They're going to be sold, correct?
Right, they will be sold, they will be contracted with one of the vendors to sell apparatus. The 93 that has the 40-year-old motor is probably not going to give us a lot of money on it, but the aerial apparatus, we're going to probably somewhere around $65,000 to $75,000 we're going to recoup on that.
Excellent.
And we're going to ask for a little more, but
I got you.
it's all negotiations.
Thank you.
Thanks. Other counselors? Dave?
Yeah, Mr. Simons, you and I have had some discussions about this opportunity before us. I know you had presented a great forecast and a plan on how we can replace our fire apparatus going forward. That forecast is essential for us in planning for town and for budgeting and arranging a way to take care of those needs to protect our citizens. In creating this plan and coming to this, did you account for a bidding process? You had described earlier how that you'd gone about in creating specification and how you had narrowed to a particular vendor. You had described narrowing down to a vendor and then developing a specification. I find that when we develop specifications around a particular manufacturer, we end up with one manufacturer and have a difficult ability to go to bid. We are at this time being asked to waive the bidding process in this situation. And so my question is, did you build into the process here the ability to go to bid if the council were to say, no, you need to go to bid?
That is always an option. We can utilize the current specifications to go to bid or develop an RFP to go to bid. In doing the due diligence that the fire service did, the apparatus committee and myself, we looked at the vendors and selected primarily the best vendor that we felt for the town, and then began to build the specifications off of that. That is a normal operation within the fire service to do it that way. These trucks are so complex that for one of us to sit down without hiring an expert to come in, and there are experts that can come in and do that, but those are additional fees or additional things. For us to do that would be very difficult. So the process that we used is one that's used routinely out there in moving forward to develop that specification. So to answer your question, the short is that we could create an RFP off of that specification and go out to bid. I would caution you on that, and I would caution you because I look back through the apparatus and the current apparatus that we have in town. Some of the criteria we use was based around the manufacturer, the financial responsibility of that manufacturer, the longevity of that manufacturer. We have 5 pieces of apparatus in town right now. The manufacturer is out of business. That at some point back in 2002, it was thought that that was the primary manufacturer out there. This criteria wasn't used to select that manufacturer. This criteria was developed after that, so we don't end up in the same problem. So we have 5 pieces of apparatus out there that, yes, they have Detroit diesels, they have Allison motors in them, they have Goodyear tires on them. Those pieces of equipment I can replace. When a door handle breaks, when a window regulator breaks, when a heater control switch breaks, I have to retrofit parts and pieces from trucks into there to make those work. The criteria that we used took into account that we were purchasing the best piece of equipment from the biggest manufacturer in the state of Connecticut, or not in the state, but in the country, that provides apparatus to a lot of cities and a lot of municipalities within the state of Connecticut. Their reputation is above themselves. So I don't know if I answered that question for you or not. I mean, our job here is to present you with our best product. Your job is either to accept that product, deny that product, and steer us in the correct way or the way that you want to go. In doing this whole review of this apparatus, this is the apparatus that we, the fire service, believe that we need to replace. This is the fire apparatus that we need to, that we believe that we need to purchase, and these are the reasons why.
Anything else, Dave?
Yeah, I appreciate that explanation, especially that there is the ability that we could go to bid, and I think that's really kind of the key for us to understand is that I've worked with a number of situations where we go out to bid, but we end up determining who to go with after that bid process, and it makes sense in the end. I think that in this case, there was not built into the schedule the consideration, at least to the timing I'm hearing now, of an order to go out to bid. But I'm not supportive of a process where we don't go through a bid process, where we've eliminated all potential. You have 4 manufacturers listed. Out of that, I believe you could have gotten to at least 2 or possibly 3 that we could have had proposals from, and we could have evaluated, and it could have been done in a competitive environment rather than a single source in this situation. We do have a bid that was, or a proposal that was received on January 4th. It's valid for 45 days from that date. To February 18th, we do have another council meeting between now and then. I think that we could go forward with a bid process, and that we could look to have something that would put a position out there that we are interested in making a purchase. Absolutely want to support us getting the right fire apparatus in place. We currently have built into the initial budget, so to speak. As budget chair, I've seen that an initial value that's been placed in there in anticipation of taking care of these particular needs. But I do think that there needs to be a process in place, because this is a precedence that could set forth or could establish a path for future ones, totaled up what you're looking at, and of course there's inflation and so forth, but it's at least $7 million of fire apparatus over the next 10 to 15 years. And I think that we can establish a criteria around a commercial and a technical bid criteria that would be made known to all bidders, would ensure a fair comparison among more than one bidder in a competitive environment, and it would be in the best interest of the fire service and the town to go in that direction. So I'm not supportive at this point of waiving the bid procedure.
Can I just ask?
Yeah. Okay, you all set, Dave?
Yeah, I'm all set.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, just for Charlie, then we'll come to you.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Normally, I would agree that competitive bid should be a requirement of any large municipal purchase. But I want to make an exception for this case, because I think the fire department, although not called a formal bidding process, did due diligence and came to a logical conclusion, and in the best interest of safety and future security for the town, they selected a manufacturer that will do the best job in the long run for us. So I'm confident they did the due diligence for us. So in this case, I'm going to make a personal exception in my logic and agree to waive the bidding process. But I would not like to see this our standard way of operating.
Thank you, Charlie. Kristen, yes?
That's a good question. Councilor Evans, I have a question for you, because I know you said we have another meeting before. What were we going to do between tonight and the next meeting? I just want to understand what process you're suggesting, so I can.
So what this does is it goes out to the public. They get to hear our discussion on it. They get to see whether we waive it or not. If we were to not waive it, people would hear that and understand our position on that and why it would make sense and why it would make sense to them. So there was some indication earlier in the meeting that the decision needed to take place eminently like this week. So I just wanted to put out there the particular time frame in which the price commitment is given. That doesn't necessarily dictate the timing of a bid and so forth.
Okay, all right, that's what I was concerned, that we were going to try and cram the whole bidding process into 2 weeks, and that
No,
seemed a little
no,
frightening
we're
to me,
at this
but-
point, we're placed in a difficult position because it has not been built into the schedule to allow such,
Got it, understood, thank you.
which is not a way to operate a business. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, just before we take the vote, I just want to echo a couple concerns I have as well. If we do move to waive this particular bidding process, I do want to say that that's not going to be a precedent as far as I'm concerned with this council. I think we do need to really make sure going forward we do some competitive bids in whatever we do. Recognizing this is a very large purchase, however, I will say that in this particular instance, Jim, you did really an outstanding job. I think you, to my satisfaction anyway, read it all over today again and really covered everything that we would have probably asked for in the bidding process if we did an RFP. And again, in the interest of some expediency here, the trucks are old, safety of the town, safety of the firemen. I think a waiver at this point, in my opinion, would be the appropriate way to go. But I really strongly want to make sure that this is out there, that this is not the normal process that the town goes through for a purchase this size, and we really do not want to continue with a precedent like this. But in this instance, I think it is a good decision. So, with that in mind, yes.
Make one last point, Jim.
Yes,
I kind of agree with a lot of what was said here, but Jim, if we push this off down the road, then maybe sometime down the road it pushes off purchase of another truck, but puts us in the position of buying 3 or 4 fire trucks in the same year. And I really don't think in this climate going forward, the economic climate, we could probably afford to do that. Correct?
Correct. Okay. And that was one of the goals of the committee to ensure that we weren't in that position coming out of the 2002 bid or 2002 purchase to where we are now. We're purchasing those 4 pieces of apparatus. You're looking at $2.4, $2.5 million just for those 4. So, yes.
Just one final question.
Yes.
Just to piggyback on Brendan's question, we had 2 this year. It was 2 next year?
No,
Or
2 in 2019, 2020.
Okay,
And then the last 2 were in 2023.
that's right.
And we're looking at those pieces of apparatus for 20-year replacement, so those pieces of apparatus would be in town till 2040.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, so we have the motion on the floor to waive the Town of Berlin bidding requirements. All those in favor?
Aye.
So opposed?
Opposed? Nay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, number 6, Denise.
For many years, as the council is aware, the town belonged to the Bristol Resource Recovery Facility as part of the trash to energy port with 13 other cities. The form of that has changed in this last couple of years, and they have been distributing funds back to the communities as they can, as different debt mature, and we have been the recipient of some of our monies that we had paid over the last 20 or 30 years. Recently, we received the distribution of $162,000, and as previously discussed with the Town Hall soffit and gutter project, which came in well over the $150,000 that was budgeted, this money can be used to cover the portion of that gap. So 137,000 roughly out of the 162 can be earmarked for that right off, and then the other will be put into the other receipts revenue account for now to be appropriated in the future. So that's it.
Great, thank you. Motion?
Okay, a motion to accept the $162,000 BRRFOC distribution and to appropriate $137,434.40 to the other receipts revenue account and the contractual services and projects soffit and gutter replacement expenditure account.
Okay, second for discussion.
Second.
Any discussion on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Number 7, topic 7.
This is just to approve the purchase from electrical wholesalers on the state contract, the Department of Administrative Services contract in the amount not to exceed $25,000 for the Facilities Department, who needs to purchase various electrical equipment over the course of the year.
Thank you. Motion?
Okay, a motion to authorize the town manager to increase purchase order 160348, utilizing State of Connecticut DAS contract 14PSX0009AA from Electrical Wholesalers, Inc., to a sum not to exceed $25,000.
Second on this?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Topic number 8.
This is very similar in that this is a request to use the
Let's have a question for you.
the Department of Administrative Services contract to purchase plumbing supplies for the Facilities Department, an amount not to exceed $25,000.
Thank you, Denise.
A
Motion?
motion to authorize the town manager to increase purchase order 160349, utilizing State of Connecticut DAS contract 10PSX0060AB from FW Web Company of a sum not to exceed $25,000.
Second on this?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Topic number 9.
The Water Control Commission purchases water meters with radio frequency emitters. They are requesting that the bidding process be waived in this case because this is a sole source tie sales of Sudbury, Massachusetts. There's an increased need for these meters, as the Water Control Commission recently allowed for the second meter to take care of people who have pools or lawn watering services that don't have water that goes into the sewers. So they are looking to have the bidding requirements waived to purchase the water meters, radio frequency emitters directly from tie sales of Sudbury, Mass. In the fully budgeted amount of $30,000.
Motion, Brendan?
Okay. A motion to waive the bidding requirements to purchase water meters, radio frequency emitters directly from TI Sales Sudbury, Mass., the sole source provider of Neptune meters in the Northeast region, for the fully budgeted amount of $30,000, and not to exceed this amount for the fiscal year, as this is in the best interest of the town.
Second on that?
Second.
Any discussion? Yeah, Dick.
Yeah, just have a question. Probably Mr. Healy. Thank you. So some time ago, we made the decision to go forward with these particular meters, and I understand that, and have actually bought meters in my employ in the past. And so the question is, over time, things improve technology-wise and so forth. After this, certainly, we might be in a position of where they could go towards obsolescence. Where are we in that technology spectrum? Is there any future shifting to a different technology, or are we lined up for the next 5, 10, 15 years?
I don't know about 10 years. I'd say we're probably in that realm for the next 5 years.
Okay.
Meter technology. This is something that we use. It's not a real high-tech meter. It's something that we're using so that the customer can differentiate between what they get charged for water, what they get charged for watering the lawn, and things like that. So that's the reason for this, and it's consistent. One of the things is you buy equipment so you can read the meters, and if you start switching technologies, now you have to get multiple types of readers.
Yeah, and my comment is that if you do, you'd have to do a wholesale change, and you have to see the economies of that, where you either reduce the amount of time that it takes to do the reading, you reduce the number of vans or people or whatever to do that. So. Got to keep that in the forefront, to be effective and to keep costs down. Just make sure we keep an eye on that, a pulse on that, those technologies and the economy of scale.
I think we do, Dave, and we do try to watch every time we do something like this. We're looking at new technology. We're looking at ways of doing things better.
Great, thank you, Mr. Healy.
Maybe not for you. Maybe it's probably more for the Water Control Commission. But just obviously these meters. I think probably all of us have heard from a lot of residents about the new charges that are going into the sewer system. I guess that's coming from obviously the Mattabassett district. Is that a charge from? These all came about. I understand we're in the district and that's what it is, but people are pretty upset about the size of it, so obviously the meters, and I've told a few people this, right, they install this meter, and obviously the water that's watering their grass is not gonna go back into the...
Right.
So
And
they
the-
wouldn't be charged for that gallon, those gallons, right?
Correct,
Is that-
that's the reason, it's just, a simple math, it's subtract the water that goes in the
right.
lawn, yeah.
Right.
And the water, it is a pass-through from Mattabesset.
Yeah, okay, great, thanks. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any
Excuse me.
opposed? Any opposed?
Nope, no, I'm okay.
Hearing none, motion carries, thank you. Topic 10.
The Public Works Department did go out for bids for equipment rental and they heard from 7 different contractors on January 8th of 2016. This is for heavy equipment and labor that is used to assist in cases where we don't have the equipment or the manpower to do a particular road reconstruction or a public works project, as well as certain times when we're called upon to complete a subdivision because the developer either doesn't finish what's necessary. The 7 firms are listed that submitted, and the Public Works Department is looking to utilize the top 4 so that in case of a difference with the equipment, they can look for the lowest possible price for the particular piece of equipment among 4 rather than just limiting it to 3.
Great. Motion?
Okay, I'll make a motion to authorize the town manager to utilize the attached bid results for the equipment rental contract, number 2016-19, when using future purchase orders to the 4 lowest submitted proposals. Should I name them? Okay.
No, that's okay, you can just say.
Okay, depending on which one results in the lowest cost to the town.
Great, thank you. Second on that?
Second.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Number 11.
The Public Works Department is also looking to, when the season allows, to start with the street lining, and they are utilizing the CROG contract and are looking to have the contract awarded to the lowest and most cost-effective contractor according to the CROG contract.
Okay, I'll make a motion to award a bid and authorize the town manager to enter into a contract to purchase street line painting services utilizing the CROG contract number 634 to the lowest and most cost-effective contractor.
Thank you. Second on that?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So moved. Okay. We're not going to make any appointments this evening. We have several more appointments to make. Most of the appointments on this list are alternates, so I'm pretty confident that all the commissions are fully staffed. We just want to sift through a few more applications. I don't want to do it in haste, since that most of the commissions have enough people to conduct their business. I did want to mention, though, that, you know, in making the appointments last time, we made 54 appointments. We did a lot of work. We took a lot of time and effort to make these appointments. And, you know, sometimes in that amount of information that we need to sift through, a lot of the information on certain individuals perhaps doesn't make it through to the council. And, you know, if, you know, council members or any members of the public, I wish, I know there's been a couple letters in the paper, and I've had several phone calls, and I wish some of the information would have been brought forth earlier, because it would have helped us a little bit more in our decision-making process rather than after the fact. But be that as may, we'll deal with that going forward. So there's we want to take a little bit more time with these appointments. There's a couple of appointments, a couple of people that I've spoken to that I think are worth revisiting based upon the information that has been brought to my attention. So over the next couple week period, we'll look at that, and hopefully at the next meeting we'll be ready to finish off most of these appointments.
Can I just ask a procedural question
Absolutely,
on that?
absolutely.
If their term expires January 31st, it would just continue until somebody is filled there? So, okay, all right. I just want to make sure we've got enough.
Good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. But like I say, I think, yeah, no, that's a good point. But I mean, most of these are alternates. I think most of the
Yeah.
commissions are fully staffed, so we should be all right with that. Okay, so thank you very much. Moving on to town manager's report.
I just have a couple of things. This Thursday evening at 6 o'clock in the library, there will be a special town council meeting to meet with the condominium association presidents, the topic of the meeting will be to discuss the rebates for the refuse. As with the new council, there have been a lot of questions from a lot of the owners and a lot of the presidents asking whether or not they would be continuing, and the mayor had requested that I set up a meeting so that questions could be answered, they could understand the process, they could understand the ordinance that had been passed, and questions can be asked and answered. So for all of you that can be there, and the public is welcome, as it is a special town council meeting. I have also been trying to set up a special town council meeting for the council to go over some of the priority setting projects and things that are on people's as well as the council's mind in terms of whether or not to proceed with different projects, including the police station, the driving range, Sage Park, different things that have come up, a lot of the playing fields. And I had thought that we were able to meet on Monday. That is not able to happen. Jim Mahoney was here this week. We were trying to have it done this week because he's an integral part to a lot of the discussions with grants and things like that. But it's to be determined a date for that meeting. So I just wanted to let council know that there is no meeting next week. Last but not least, we do have a new building official, Frank Van Linter, who had been serving as our part-time or assistant building official under Nick Chirico, and who was filling in the interim since Nick's retirement in August or September, has agreed to take the job on a full-time basis. His first day was last Friday, as a matter of fact, so he has been working, and it's a pleasure to have him full-time. If you have a chance to stop in and say congratulations, introduce yourself, that's fine. He has fit in and has been with us about 2 years now and is now full-time, so.
Great, thanks. And that meeting Thursday's at 6?
Yes,
Right,
at the library.
We're good at 6,
6
right?
p.m., yep.
6 o'clock.
Good
great.
for 6 o'clock.
Sorry, I thought it was 7.
No, that's right, it was
Oh,
7.
oh.
We said 7 on air,
It
it
was
was
7,
7.
and I probably didn't
It's
tell
at
you
6,
6.
so. Appreciate you changing that time. Hopefully it didn't inconvenience anyone. Is that all? That's it?
Yes.
Denise? We're good? Okay, special committee reports, do we have any? Anyone?
Not at this point.
Nothing?
Not tonight.
Nothing tonight? Okay, counselor communications?
Just want to ask Denise,
Yep.
you mentioned in your little talk there about the police station results still coming out this week?
Yes, the 4th is Thursday. I believe it's Thursday, and I'm not sure the time. I apologize.
That's okay.
And that was why I was waiting to have the meeting until after we had some further information, perhaps, because that would be nice to know, even if it's just a ballpark figure.
Great. Any other communications? None? Acceptance of minutes, but, Kate, I only see the 19th in here, is it?
It was probably because the 12th was given to you last time, but when they gave you the 12th, I didn't know it, so I didn't put it on the agenda.
Oh,
So you got them the last meeting,
we did, okay.
all right, so I apologize.
And I'm sure we all read them,
And
but we can
then
wait if we'd like, but we can do what you
I
like.
think that they didn't know that I put it on, no.
Okay, all right, so, let's, acceptance of the meeting of January 12th, 2016. Motion.
Make a motion to accept the town council meeting minutes from January 19th, 2016? Or January 12th?
12th, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
That next would be 19th.
Okay.
Second on that?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. And the 19th.
I will make a motion to accept the town council meeting minutes from January 19th, 2016.
Second on that?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Second?
Second.
All right, so moved. Thank you.
All those in
Adjourned.
favor? Aye.
8:27.